Wake up, wake up, wake up, it's the first of the month. You guys aren't familiar with that song? That's First of the Month by Bone Thugs and Harmony. In this song, they describe how on the first 15th of every month, they receive welfare checks and proceed to spend that money on drugs and alcohol. In my editorial, Minus Getting Food Stamps, the editorial board makes the argument that the candidate proposal is immoral and unethical. However, it's untrue because the proposal would help cut back on food stamp abuse, cut back government spending, and the language in the editorial is completely biased. I'll be arguing in favor of the candidate proposal. On to my first argument, food stamp abuse. According to the Cato Institute, a government think tank, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, has grown tremendously. In 2017 million participating in SNAP, costing American taxpayers less than $18 billion. Today, 48 million participate, costing us more than $78 billion. However, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, nearly 18 million American households remain food insecure. Numbers just don't add up. Why are there additional 30 million people in this program when it isn't absolutely necessary for them to be in it? Also, work participation among SNAP recipients is low. As of 2011, only 27.7% of non-elderly adult participants were employed, while another 28% were looking for work. The work requirements provision under the candidate proposal would help boost employment by mandating that able-bodied childless adults who cannot find at least part-time employment will lose their food stamps after 90 days. Finally, SNAP has a high rate of fraud and abuse. USDA states that SNAP fraud is at 858 million, but that doesn't include payments to individuals who were not properly eligible for participation or who received benefits in excess of the amount to which they should have been entitled, which amounts to $2.2 billion. The counter proposal works to make a broken system more efficient. In an environment where scarcity exists, it's important to efficiently use every dollar. My second argument, language and value claims in the editorial. Throughout the editorial, the diction used implies a liberal viewpoint of the issue. Examples of this include a showdown vote over this cruel plan and the use of pathological images of people starving. They claim that tens of millions will starve in this proposal, despite saying earlier in the editorial that an estimated 4 to 6 million will suffer, thus contradicting themselves, making this a claim of value. Also, the main claim of the editorial is Congress should reject the candidate proposal as a national embarrassment. It plainly is. It's the last statement in the editorial, and it's heavily skewed to our left side of the political spectrum because it describes the proposal as a national embarrassment. It plainly is. The editorial also claims this plan will invite state governments to ratchet benefits back further because they can use savings wrenched from the pantries of the poor for various other programs, including tax cuts. This is a claim of value. Not only does it use the word wrenched, but it also suggests a plan of action that's stereotypical of the Republican Party. Just because they're cutting back on food stamps doesn't mean they immediately turn towards tax cuts. Finally, my final argument, cutting back on government spending. SNAP isn't the only food stamp assistance program. There's others as well. According to Claffey and Stucker's, the food stamp program, funding separate outreach efforts for several similar or overlapping food programs may be a waste of both money and effort. Furthermore, reforms to increase eligibility for one program may decrease benefits for a complementary program, and the end result may be more federal tax dollars spent and less real assistance provided. Also, King's welfare reform block grants, expenditure caps, and the paradox of the food stamp program describes a period where $2 billion in projected savings began to disappear as the states used a lenient administrative ruling to exempt non-working able-bodied individuals with no dependents from the limitation of 3 months of benefits every 3 years. Couple us with $2.2 billion in food stamp abuse, that's a lot of money going down the drain. We need to cut back and return to a fiscally responsible environment. So to conclude, through the examples of food stamp abuse, government spending, and the language used in the editorial, I have proven why the candidate proposal should be passed. The candidate proposal would cut back spending and help reform the food stamp program in order to correct the abuse. And remember, the one who is unwilling to work shall not eat.